Hi, welcome to Sweet Sensations. My name is Lynn Rosta, and today we're going to be doing some Christmas baking. I'm going to share two very easy to make Christmas cookie recipes. We're going to make raspberry poinsettia blossoms with 3/4 cup of butter, a half cup of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, 1 box of raspberry jelly, 1 egg, 2 cups of flour, and yellow candy sprinkles. We'll make holiday pinwheels with a cup of butter, 1 cup of sugar, a half teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract, 1 egg, 2½ cups of flour, red and green sugars, and sprinkles. So we're going to start with our poinsettia cookies. So I have 3/4 cup of room temperature butter here. I'm going to cream that with the sugar. And I'm just using a half cup of white sugar because we're using jelly in these cookies and we'll pick up a lot of sugar from the jelly. Teaspoon of vanilla for flavor. And 1 egg. So we're going to be making two very simple, easy to make cookie doughs. This one only has 6 ingredients and the next one only has 7. Now I'm going to add a box of jelly powder, so it's just the small box, the 4 serving size. And I'm using raspberry. You could use any type of red jelly. I like to use the raspberry just because it's a little different. Raspberry is not something I use a lot, so I like the chance to use it here. I have to say, the jelly always makes me sneeze when I put it in. So we're just going to beat this in. You could use any red jelly. You see, whatever color or whatever flavor you use, it's a great way to add flavor and a lot of color. We didn't have to beat in any food coloring. You don't have to go out and buy any if you don't have it. We ended up with this beautiful kind of light red color. The cherry and the raspberry will turn it a darker color. The strawberry turns it kind of a lighter pink. But that's fine too because poinsettias are very pretty in pink too. So just 2 cups of flour is all we need in terms of dry ingredients. So you just need to beat that until that comes together as a dough. That looks good. I'm going to grab my parchment lined tray. And I'm just going to start taking bits of the cookie dough and rolling it into balls. And how big you make these balls depends on how big you want your cookies or your flowers to be. And once we get both these types of cookies baked, they're done. They won't need any other decoration. All we need is some Christmas sprinkles, Christmas sugars and things. Turn both of them into very festive Christmassy treats. So once we have, you'll just keep going, you have it all rolled into balls. Then we're going to take, you could take kitchen shears. I like to take a little knife, kind of, I guess this is kind of like a paring knife or something. And we're going to start cutting petals into the cookies. So to do that, we want to cut 6 petals. So I'm going to take my knife, and I'll start with cutting the cookie right across the whole cookie, but you don't want to cut it all the way through. You're cutting about 3/4 through, because you want to keep it as one ball of cookie dough. You don't want to cut it completely into 2 different halves. So then once you have that done, you can just make 2 cuts on each side, which will give you the 6 petals, just as if you were cutting a pie. Just like that. So we're trying to make these look like poinsettias for Christmas time as much as we can, but you could use this recipe any time of the year. You could make, this recipe doesn't make a whole lot, so you can make a couple batches and use a couple different colors of jelly, and you'd end up with a nice platter of multicolored cookies. Make them to fit any occasion. Nice basket of pastel cookies, or a bag of pastel cookies would look pretty in Easter basket. So once you have all your petals cut, you're just going to spread them apart just gently and lightly. You don't have to spread them a whole lot, because once this cookie dough hits the heat of the oven, it's just going to spread itself and open up the cookie. But I'm trying to make a spot here to put in our little yellow decorations, again to look like poinsettias, but if you're making them other times of year, it would be nice to just bake them like this, and then after they're cooled, put a little dab of icing in the center, maybe a fresh raspberry if you're using the raspberry jelly, or cherries if you use the cherry jelly. Red and green cherries can be nice put in these at Christmas time too. If I use the cherry jelly instead of the vanilla, I would put in a little bit of almond extract, because I really like that with cherry flavored things. So now I have, these are just called mini gold metallic beads that I just picked up at the grocery store. If you don't have those, you could just use some yellow sugar, or some little maybe the little mini yellow M&Ms, some type of little yellow candy. I'm just going to pour these in the center here to be the yellow parts of the poinsettia, because we think of the red parts of the poinsettia as the flower, but the red leaves, but they're actually just that, just red leaves. The actual flower of the poinsettia is the little yellow part in the center. So we're putting our flowers in our poinsettias here. So like I said, once they're baked, they come out of the oven. They're all ready to go. You don't have to worry about any other decorations. So you're going to bake these at 375 for about 9 to 12 minutes. It's really going to depend on how big you make them. But just until they set up, cookies like this that are colored, you don't want them to get brown, because then they lose their bright color and they don't look as pretty when they're brown. You want them to stay reddish pink or whatever color we have them. So we'll put this aside, and when we come back, we're ready to start our holiday pinwheels. Welcome back. We're ready to start our second cookie. So for this one I have a cup of butter. And no jelly in these, so we're going with a full cup of sugar this time, just white sugar. Add our salt in there. Half a teaspoon of salt. One egg. I'm going to flavor this dough with a teaspoon of vanilla. And just about a quarter teaspoon of almond. But these cookies are going to be kind of red, green, and white, so if you like peppermint, they'd be perfect flavored with a little bit of peppermint extract too, instead of the almond. And again, all we need in terms of dry ingredients is our flour, 2½ cups. And our last cup. Like I said, just basic, and just a few basic ingredients in both cookies. We didn't even use any leavening agents in either one. No baking powder, no baking soda. It's all just things that you would probably have in your cupboard. The only thing you may not have on hand is the sprinkles and candy that we're using, but they're easy to pick up at the grocery store or the bulk barn. Gather up this cookie dough. Because this is going to be a simple slice and bake type of icebox cookie, so we're going to divide this cookie dough into two. Make it easier to work with. We'll make 2 logs of cookie dough. So I find the easiest way is to just kind of shape it into a log and then eyeball half of that. Certainly doesn't have to be exact. So I'll put 1/2 aside. We're going to take this one. I'm going to try to roll this on this piece of wax paper if it'll stay in place. So I'm just trying to roll this into a little square shape. So we didn't even need any rolling pin for the last cookies. So we are going to roll this out, but we're not going to use any cookie cutters. So I still think this is less time consuming than cutting out shapes with cookie cutters and then decorating them with icing, candy, and sprinkles and things when they're done. So I tried to pick things that, like I say, that would be ingredients that people would have on hand, and you don't need any fancy, hard to find ingredients or equipment or anything to make these cookies. You have all kinds of Christmas cookie cutters or cookie press or something. It's fun to use those at Christmas time, but if you don't have those things, you can still make nice Christmas cookies. So this is not a huge piece of dough, so we just have to roll it out into a little square like this. Now I'm going to take my sugars. So I have just red and green colored sugar here. I'm going to put these on in kind of like a patchwork quilt pattern. Just little squares here and there. And just like the other cookie recipe, this one can be used for any occasion just by changing the colors of these sugars. You could leave out the green sugar and go with red and pink for Valentine's Day. Leave out the red and just go with all green for St. Patrick's Day. Red and purple for Easter, or black and orange for Halloween. The sugars come in all those colors, so it'd be easy to customize these cookies, and between these two recipes you can pretty much cover all the occasions with 2 cookie recipes. So I'm just pushing the sugar in here so that it stays in place when I roll this up, because now we're going to take it and just roll it like a jelly roll or cinnamon rolls or something. So I like to push in that first roll and then start rolling it up. So this is a very easy version of a colored pinwheel cookie, because we just use the sugar to make the different colors. There's lots of recipes out there and they make beautiful cookies, but they're just a little more involved, take a little more work, where you actually color the dough. You can color it 2 colors or 3 colors, divide it up and leave one white, make one red and one green, or just go with the red and green. But when you do that, each color of dough has to be rolled out, and then they have to be stacked on top of each other and then rolled together into a roll. This way we're just working with one ball of dough, so just one rolling out, one rolling up into a roll. So it saves quite a bit of work. They still manage to look festive. So once that's done, I have another kind of sprinkle here. These are the little beaded ones. I got the white, green, and red ones. So this recipe is easy, but this is where it gets a little messy. unless you're a lot tidier than I am, you're going to have to sweep after you make these cookies, because I'm just dumping this on here. And I'm going to start rolling this around in these little Christmas beads because I want to coat the outside of the cookie with them. And that's why I rolled the dough on the wax paper. Usually I would put down flour, but when you do that, it picks up some of the flour, and then the beads don't stick as well. So I just keep moving it around a little, lifting up the paper, pushing in the beads. And now, because it's an icebox cookie, it has to be chilled before we can slice it and bake it. So we're just going to wrap it up, put it in the fridge for at least 2 hours, or until it's firm enough to slice up. So put that one aside. I have one in the fridge here. Bring over another parchment lined tray. So once you get these rolls made, it's a very versatile recipe because you can slice it all and bake them now and have them now, or you can bake them and then freeze them, or you can put these, instead of chilling these rolls, you can put them right in the freezer and then bake them closer to Christmas time. Or you could, you have the 2 rolls, so you could bake one today and take one out and bake one another day, so you have fresh cookies a couple of times. That's the beauty of icebox cookies. So I'm just cutting them fairly thin. And you can use whatever type of sprinkles you like, but I think these work really well. You get the red and the green sugars in there, or the red and the green, and then I like these little red, white, and green beads on the outside. I like the crunch they give to the cookies. So 2 very simple cookie recipes, and I think both of them, you know, with a minimum of work, managed to be very festive looking little cookies. So you're going to bake these. They don't spread a lot. We don't have any leavening in there, so you can put them all in that tray. This was just about half a roll of cookie dough. You're going to bake these at 375 for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until the edges just start to brown, because like the other ones, even though they're not the bright color of the other ones, they do have a lot of colors in them, and you don't want to hide those colors by letting the cookies get too brown. So about 10 to 12 minutes, or until they're set up and just starting to turn brown. So we'll clean up and come back and have a look at all the cookies baked. So here's what the cookies look like when they're baked. You've got all the Christmas colors running through this one. I like how they're small, because I like to put out a tray at Christmas time with a lot of different things on it, and people like to try a couple of different things, so it's good to have small things on there. I usually make my poinsettia blossoms quite a bit smaller too, but I wanted you to be able to see how I was making them. But they're nice like this too. This is a recipe, another recipe I found years ago in a magazine at the dentist's office, and I've been making it for a long time. We really like them, and like I say, they're cute when they're really small too. So the best thing about both cookies is, like I said, once they're baked, they're all ready to go. You don't have to do any decorations. They don't take long to make, so you can whip up a couple batches and still have time to enjoy some with a Christmas movie. And both freeze well. And a great way to freeze them is in coffee cans like this. We go through a lot of coffee in our house, so I'm always looking for ways to use the coffee cans. And these, I especially like the plastic ones like this for freezing the cookies. You can just fill a can like this with the cookies, put layers of wax paper between the cookies so that they stay separate, and then the cover seals on well. Clear a spot in your freezer, stack a couple of these with different Christmas treats, and it protects them from getting broken. I find them great. And especially these plastic ones with the handle. Talking about the Christmas movie, these are great for popcorn. You fill one of these with your popcorn, it has a handle to bring it into the couch to watch your movie or whatever. And these cookies also make perfect gifts, so I also like to use coffee cans for that. This is just a coffee can. For the gifts, I like to use the metal cans because the plastic ones, this doesn't come off. It's not a label, it's painted right on there, but if you're really ambitious, you can paint over this and make your own design. But something like this, I just carefully peel off the label like that, and then it makes a perfect pattern. Just lay it down on a piece of wrapping paper, cut the same size, stick that on your can, and you very easily have a nice can for your cookies. Stick a bow on top, and these cookies have lots of jobs for little helpers if you have them. Things like rolling balls of dough, sprinkling on sugar, and sprinkles and things that they love to do. So if you do have some of those little helpers, another nice thing to do is, instead of cutting the wrapping paper, just cover this or give them a sheet of same size white paper and let them draw and color their own designs on there. And then if they, depending on their age, they can make the cookies themselves or help you with the cookies, decorate their can, and they have a perfect little gift to give someone, because anyone likes to get a nice can full of homemade cookies for Christmas. So just to review what we used for our Christmas cookies today, we made raspberry poinsettia blossoms with 3/4 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, teaspoon of vanilla, 1 box of raspberry jelly, 1 egg, 2 cups of flour, and yellow candy sprinkles. Our holiday pinwheels were made with a cup of butter, a cup of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract, 1 egg, 2.5 cups of flour, red and green sugars, and sprinkles. So I hope you enjoy my easy to make Christmas recipes. A poinsettia is one of the most popular Christmas decorations, and poinsettia cookies are always very popular on any Christmas tray. And a couple of these holiday pinwheels and a glass of milk are special enough for even Santa himself. So I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you come back next time for Sweet Sensations.